All right, welcome to day 2 of the TCO18 finals. I'm Nick Castillo, your host, and alongside me, James Corey,
Hello.
my co-host. With us, we have Adam Moorhead, who is our VP Digital. Oh, that's not you. This one's you, right?
There we go.
All right, there we go. We'll get this thing
We're
going.
live.
So, yes, Adam is helping run the design competition that's actually running right now, the design finals. Thank you, Adam, for joining us.
You're welcome. Glad to be here. Excited to be here.
Yeah, me
Good to talk
too.
to everyone.
It's very
pretty cool.
nice hat.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
a very nice
I thought I'd be festive. Win in
You're
Texas,
doing a great
huh?
job. Yeah. And your head might get a little cold. It's
Yeah, I know. It's
cold
been
out there.
it's been cold out, so actually it's been useful.
Yeah, no, I agree too. So, Adam, what are the designers working on today? We know last time they were talking about their problem statement, all that kind of fun stuff. What's new this time around?
Okay.
For the
Well,
designers?
let me give you a status update.
Sure.
So
Let's do that.
we did our semifinal rounds yesterday, and after the semifinal rounds, we met with all 14 designers and with our customer Han, so healthcare outsourcing network, and we were in a room and we walked through all the designs. The designers were able to ask the customer more about their domain, about their project, about their customers, about the users of the application, which are their agents. Okay. And really were able to get into what are the questions they were having throughout the challenge and focusing in on the dashboard that they were creating. So all the designers were able to get feedback. We posted that feedback, and today the challenge, another 3-hour round, which we're calling the final round, TCO UI Design Final Round 1.
Round 1.
We'll have round 2 and the final round tomorrow. And
But no one's getting eliminated.
no one's getting eliminated.
Okay.
Nope. All 14 will continue, and so they're currently working on that right now. 3 hours, which will be ending here in about I think 20. Revamping the dashboard based on the feedback we provided, and how much time do they spend working on the new screens. So
Okay.
they kind of, in 3 hours, there's a decision of like, okay, how am I going to move forward here and also get feedback from the customer, and then depending on what the what's the twist going to be on the design problem tomorrow.
All right, and as we can see here, these were the scores that were determined by the client as well as yourself.
Yeah, so as part of the workshop yesterday, Trevor and myself met with the customer, and we went through and scored the designs. And we scored it on UI design, concepts, originality. So concepts is a big thing at Top Coder, where within the design community, we really push designers to think differently about things, to really push new ideas. Customers are coming to Top Coder not just to get pretty designs. Okay, that's not what we're about here. It's not what we're about teaching our community. We really want to push new ideas and new concepts visually.
Right.
So how can we rapidly design and be creative and really push the design problem that the customer's having and getting them to think differently about it and really think about the user. And that's what we're focused on here. We're focused on these agents that work for Han, okay? And so we really kind of work through that process.
And do you find that clients sometimes in the beginning really don't know what they want, right?
Oh, yeah.
They know generally we need these components on the screen somewhere.
Yep.
And that's what the wireframe's for, essentially, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So we actually provided in the beginning of the semifinal a simple wireframe. The customer did have existing screens of their application, but we didn't want to share that because we didn't want the designers just gravitating to that and just kind of latching on and going with that, right? We really want new ideas, new ways of approaching this. Like, let's think about this user, let's think about this agent. They're sitting down 8 a.m., they have things they need to do. So what is it they're going to tackle? What's important? And this is why the workshop's critical, because now the designers are able to go back to the customer and go, tell us more about like what is a day in the life of this employee. Okay.
Well, you provided them a wireframe, but you also provided them what I saw was, I think, a screenshot of the existing app.
No, we did that today. We did not do that yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay.
So-
yeah, because I saw them switching through and
Yes.
showing that.
So
Okay.
today, now that they started, they went down a path. We gave them some feedback. Now we were able to show them some screens, so they have some of the data and understanding more of what the agent's doing, so they can now ease into that and realize, like, hey, that's not what you're designing. Stay with what you're doing.
Yeah.
But here's some additional information.
Yeah, it looked almost like an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, no,
like it was literally like data in square boxes.
Yeah,
That's it.
so the feedback from the customer was like they've been wanting to do this for 15 years.
Okay.
So I mean,
Woo.
and
That's where that design came from.
yeah, and
was around 15
So
years.
literally in six hours, we've already moved the needle, right?
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And I think we discussed with them, or in passing, I discussed with them, and they were like, we had a team a little while ago. This would have taken them like a month, and they're doing this in 3 hours,
Right,
and it's
right.
quality too.
Right.
And there's optionality.
Yeah.
Right. And so once again, I mean, we could say, hey, everything looks pretty, right?
Yeah.
And they're nice looking screens, but we really want to get into how the user is going to interact with these things. And yeah, we're only doing it a few hours here. It's not, and we're doing a couple screens. We're not doing the entire app.
That's true.
Right? I mean, there's a lot more work to be done here,
True.
but it is giving them new ideas. The customer, it's getting them thinking about it, right?
That's cool.
It's really kind of, like I said, it's moving the needle for them. But also, when we think about how we develop software, they've taken much more of a development software approach, and now they're taking more of the user approach. Like how should our users, our employees, be experiencing this app? Because right now, they go in and there's like 5 different apps that their employee uses. So it's like productivity already is hindered.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have this window open, this window, I have to search here, I have this thing. So now if we can funnel that all into something that is like I said, 8 a.m. What does my day look like? It's already going to have an impact.
Yeah. I was looking at somebody's screen and I saw that it said this customer is feeling joy or something like that, which, language barrier, whatever. But they're using cognitive, I think, as well. They're planning to.
Some of them are proposing that
Okay.
in the idea. So there's one of the things that is that was brought up was the agents will be on the phone or they'll be talking with a potential customer. Okay, so the idea of a cheat sheet. Okay, so one thing, language barrier, like no one understood cheat sheet. So
Wow.
so that was like a 5-minute, like, okay, let's, but because the wording wasn't coming through. But the idea is that, like, hey, I'm on my dashboard and maybe because our customer, the Han has relationships and contracts with different healthcare providers. So the idea is like, I need that information right now that's related to that specific healthcare provider. So what's that cheat sheet? So could that be an AI? So I just type into my chat bot or something like that, hey, I need data, I need the draft of whatever.
Or I've been waiting for this, so it's angry, or yeah.
but then it just gives you that information, right?
Yep.
So it's search, but the idea is that you can actually interact with it while they're on the phone.
Nice.
Then they can expand that even into just when their customers call in after hours, or they go on. The idea would be able to go on the website and get answers quickly.
And we received some comments from designers that were on the show yesterday, saying how much they love these workshops. It started about a couple TCOs ago, I believe, and they love the feedback.
Yeah.
Meeting the customer.
Yeah. Meeting the customer. So there's always a thought around fairness. Okay, we obviously want to keep the integrity of what we're doing here. All these designers are competing for the $10,000, right?
That's true.
But at the same time, if they're here, I want them to have the experience of meeting a customer, sitting in the room, and also the customer realizing they have the attention of the top 14 designers in our community right now working on their problem and only their problem. When's that ever going to happen again, right? Because when we start running challenges, they may get 4 or 5 of them, but they won't get all 14 on their challenge, right? Because those designers are working on a wide variety of things in the community.
14 of they're getting the 14 of the best of the best in the world here live in 3 hours, or 9, I guess total.
9 total.
It will be total.
Yeah, but this way, they get that experience with the customer, and then they get some customer FaceTime, right? Because we do this all virtually.
Yeah.
So it's turned into a super positive thing, of course, because
both sides.
Because it's an iterative process. They want that feedback. The designers really crave. As a designer, I want feedback. I want to know if my design or if with what I'm working on is going in the right direction, right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's collaborative on both sides. The client and
Correct.
the designer are just
Correct.
working together.
Yep. And the other thing is, now when Han runs other challenges in the community, the 14 designers here know all about them, right?
That's true.
They now have the background. They now have domain knowledge. They now know when they do additional challenges in the future, they have an easier understanding of how to get engaged.
Yeah, they'll see the name and they'll be like, I'm
Exactly.
interested. I know what they're about. I might have a leg up in this competition.
Exactly.
Let's try to.
Exactly.
So, being a sponsor of this event sounds like it'll pay off.
Yeah, definitely think so. One other thing I wanted to call out, we are running right this minute, speaking of sponsors, 7-Eleven is sponsoring our live user experience challenge, so our Lux challenge, which is running right now.
Okay.
We actually just had our rolling checkpoint come in at 8 o'clock this morning, so not only do we have our 14 top designers working right here behind me, we also have our global community of designers working on our Lux Challenge that is sponsored by 7-Eleven, and it's a mobile application that'll help 7-Eleven's exploring some different concepts, and they're leveraging our design community to do that.
And how many screens are they going to be working on?
So right now they're working on about 8 mobile screens, but for the rolling checkpoint, we already have 21 submissions.
Oh, wow.
So you talk about...
And that's how many hours?
So they
far?
they did that that was about 36 hours.
36 hours.
Right, and then they have another 24 hours before the designs are due tomorrow.
So 72 hours to produce.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are doing it 9, but...
we launched it at the kickoff on Tuesday, and we're ending it tomorrow morning at 8.
So do you think some of these people are like, oh, the big guys are out working on their own thing?
Exactly. I mean,
it's time to get in.
There's
Time to get some money.
There's some strategy here, right?
Sure,
I'm
sure.
And that was some of the messaging. I said, hey, everyone, if you ever wanted to try a Lux Challenge, this is the time to do it, because you have 14 designers that are not working on it.
And already 21 submissions around there?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? One other thing.
Yeah, before we go to that.
7-Eleven's also sponsoring an AR development challenge we're running right now. So an augmented reality challenge.
Really?
So definitely check that out too.
Oh. Go ahead and check. Where can they check that out?
It's on the competition website.
Okay. Great.
Competition listens.
Go ahead and check that out, folks. And while you do that, we're actually going to be looking in on some of our competitors. Probably get AdRock to comment on some. Let's see. Here we have Abba de Vera. So, did anything pop out at you with his submission?
So Abba de Vera is 4-time TCO champion. So I mean, right away, he's always going to jump in and have a clean, crisp, graphic quality. So from a standpoint of like, are you going to visually be able to enjoy what he's doing? He's always going to be there. So in the semifinal, he was actually pushing some concepts that were more around the way the employee or agent might be communicating with potential patients and things like that.
Okay.
And so some of those ideas were validated or invalidated in the workshop. But he definitely brought to the workshop a lot of questions and a lot of thought process around the things that he was thinking about. And I've been seeing him definitely go and improve on all that based on the feedback. So right now I can't really see his full screen here, but obviously
seems to be working on a different screen.
Yeah, Abe is always going to push the needle on not only the quality of design, but also the concepts that he's bringing to the program. So he's definitely a player here.
Yeah, no, he's let us in on kind of his strategy a little bit too. We had him here for the post-match interview, and he did mention how for competitions like these, he doesn't go full out, colorizing it, making it look great. He wants to test some components out, see if it'll work, just so that he doesn't have to revert everything that he does.
There's the one that he had at the semifinal. So there's some issues around navigation, around there was some we like some of these ideas, but when you look at this from a utility application view, some of these things are going to be difficult. So there's feedback around that. Great.
Yeah, I was kind of in awe a little bit because he's like, yeah, I still have. I have some ideas, some tricks up my sleeve that I'll pull out a little later on. But
I think they're.
But he loves the workshop.
Yeah, obviously they learn. Some of them who have been repeat TCO finalists are trying to bring some strategy, right? So they want the workshop. They want to be part of the workshop, but then also they don't necessarily want to give everything away either, right?
Yeah, they know how the game works.
So in some ways it's actually I actually like that because what they're doing is they're iterating, right? They're using the process and they're basically showing us wireframes. Right, and then they're going to go execute on it after the fact, right? High fidelity wireframes, but still, that's the design thinking process there.
Yeah, and again, like you mentioned, you come here and participate every so often, like all these years, such as Abadavera. Moving on to someone that hasn't been doing that as much, our first timer, Aviv.
Yes, Aviv. So do you guys know the story behind Aviv?
Did he win the regional?
He won the regional. So TCO Indonesia
Okay.
design regional. 2 months back, he was the champion. So he won a trip here.
That's amazing.
That's our big thing. 2-day event in Indonesia. It goes from 8 until 9 on Saturday and 8 to 9 on Sunday. And he
One whole hour.
Yeah. All day, right?
Yeah.
And long, grueling. So if we're going to give trips away, we're going to make sure,
They earned it.
Yep, they earned it. So and he was our winner.
Now we see only like 17 challenges, 1 win. So what's the story there? Does he?
He's new, right?
does he not
He's new,
compete?
but he's not as
As-
active.
not
right?
as active.
So he's definitely active in the regional events. He's definitely active in the community, like in Slack and forums. He's active, but he actually has a full-time job as a
that
UX
makes sense.
designer. So
Oh.
he just likes being at this
side
point.
gig.
At this point, I mean, he won it, so maybe we'll see more of him this year, right? So maybe
Right.
he'll get a taste for
Yeah.
for being a finalist and want to come back, right? So.
Very cool. Let's move on to D-Jack Mania.
Yes, D-Jack.
So he's returned, right?
Yeah, so he returned last year.
Okay.
So D-Jack, I always say he's a legend. So he was our TCO design champion in 2007. So 2007, 2008, one of those. But and he's so long time top coder member. Legendary in the community in that regard. He's always had a lot of success, and then he was gone for a couple of years, and he last year at our regional event took first place and came back. So he had not been competing, had been working and just doing his thing, and he won the regional and made it back. So and then he got the taste again, and so he qualified again this year.
That's awesome.
So.
Well, glad to see him back on the top coder bandwagon.
And we actually, so when we talk about the history of things, Yiming
Yeah.
is here. So he is our very first TCO design champion in 2006.
Very first.
Yeah, very first.
All right, let's go to him right now.
And he was gone for a few years, and last year he also made it back. So
So he has some guys returning. What do you think that correlates to?
I think they love the competition, the on-site competition,
Yeah.
the opportunity, and there's a drive to get back.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
Yep. So Yiming actually, he had a really good semifinal. He did a great job of really looking at this as a utility application and really focusing in on the key things that is going to matter to the agent. Real simple layout, almost in a wireframe sense, like I mentioned, but it was very functional in that regard, right?
Okay.
So it was obviously key to what this needs to be.
Right.
So real simple, real functional. But
So
but
the
crisp.
old. He keeps flipping back.
That's the screen that the customer
current.
provided.
Okay.
Of the existing app. And
Yeah,
now
that looks a little old.
Yeah.
It looks a little dated.
A little dated, right? And this is the new.
I see. All right, interesting. I forget who we had on earlier. This is Sketch. They mentioned how one of the competitors,
Built out components.
yeah, in a way that it's easy for developers to actually
That was
receive
Luis.
it. Was it Luis?
Or no, yeah.
Yeah, so Sketch has done that. So
Shakespeare.
yeah, so Sketch has a lot of plugins that now make it a lot easier. So Sketch has been a powerful new tool that has come up in the last couple of years, and a lot of design teams are now leveraging it because Photoshop being pixel based, it can take up a lot of memory. Okay, so you can build files and they become huge. And Illustrator being vector is really small files, right? So Sketch said, hey, how can we create a better web creation tool that keeps the files small in a vector sense, but still gives you the precision and the ability to use things like Photoshop, right? And that's what essentially we're looking at Sketch. So now Adobe's playing catch up with
XD?
with XD. So XD is now their competitor to Sketch, which is probably, I think, is one of the first times that they've actually really been behind on something like that, right? So XD is actually their first ground up, brand new app that they've had in years.
And we
'Cause
saw
everyone uses
Abadavera, I
Photoshop and
think,
Illustrator.
using XD, or
Right.
maybe a couple others too,
Right.
but
So-
it's relatively new.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So they had to learn it.
So we actually had challenges where customers requested Sketch, and we gave bonus payments for using it. So take the
Oh.
time to learn it, and now a lot of members are using it. So, if any
Perfect.
customers out there want us to be looking at their design tools, this is a good way to get some traction.
Sweet. Let's look at I Am Infinite. What's his story? Do you know?
So he was a finalist in 2015. So when we actually had the TCO Design Finals in Indonesia, he qualified that year, and did a good job. And then this is his first time back since 2015. So he qualified again this year. I know he tried the last couple of years, and
Okay.
this year, I mean, he's been literally on a tear lately. I think the last 2 months he's won 5 or 6 challenges. So not only has he qualified, but he's also been steaming up the leaderboard in that regard. That there's been the community's been very positive and cheering him on, and like, hey, wow, you're really kicking butt right now. So
That's awesome.
I'm excited to see what he comes up with here, and personally super impressed on how he's improved over the last year. And I think once again he had a strong drive to I want to get to the US. I want to get to the TCO finals. I experienced it once. I want to get back.
That's great. I wanted to touch on something you said. I think that's so great about the community cheering on.
Yeah.
Even though it is a competition platform, these guys are, battling it out. They still.
Yep. So,
Good props.
Paravicki, right? So,
Yeah.
I don't know, has anybody... So her story is an amazing story, too. She's only been competing for the last 6 months.
Yeah, we had her on.
Yeah.
I
So-
think she'll be. Oh, it doesn't look like we have her signal right now,
Okay.
but we can come back to it. We're actually going to have her on after you. Her and Aviv.
Okay, but so she's only been competing for 6 months. She found us she was Googling GE. I think she had a job interview and found us. GE's done a lot of work with us, of course.
Right.
And signed up, and she's been working with us ever since and winning challenges. But the amazing thing is that in the forums and in Slack, all the competitors over there have been giving her advice. They've been helping her.
They've been helping her
She
out.
has questions about things or how to be successful, and they're in there like, oh, we recommend this, and this is how you handle a checkpoint, and if you don't get the feedback you're looking for, make sure you ask in the forums, and like which is phenomenal. That's what I love about the Top Coder community, right? And obviously from the developer side and working with the community, you see it too, where they're willing to help each other, right? And it blows me away. Like, hey, this competitor might take money away from me in a competition, but I'm helping them to be better. But I also believe it's a lot of it's the confidence that our members have in their abilities, right?
That's true too. I mean, I'm walking around and I'm seeing developers gather and talking strategy or why they would use one type of class over another,
Approach
some
or-
functionality, yeah. And I just think that's super cool.
Well,
Sharing
just,
of knowledge and all that.
SSP. So he he started
Check him out.
out as he started competing a couple years ago, and he struggled, and he would.
A couple years ago.
A couple years ago, he would hit me up. He would email me. He would talk to me on Slack, and was constantly, "Hey, can you give me some feedback?"
Well,
And
we had Javed on,
Yep.
and he was telling he wasn't a designer.
He wasn't
No.
even a
He learned how to
designer.
design
Had
with
no
no,
idea.
he's literally been teaching himself how to design, and he's taken the advice, and he's been very aggressive with making sure that I get back to him, and which is fine. I said, hey, I may not get back to you right away, but I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And he's taken my feedback and he's applied it, right? He's tried to use it as a way to learn.
Yeah.
He made it to the finals. I'm blown away by how much he's grown, and in the workshop yesterday he had the most questions. He's the
great.
most vocal person in there.
great.
Right?
He seems
And-
very driven.
very driven,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's amazing. So 477 challenges, right? So while we have 4 wins in there, I think some of those challenges are probably first to finishes. But I mean, he's been super aggressive and just trying out and trying things. And I mean, when he first started, if we had a challenge that needed 5 or 6 screens, maybe he did 1 or 2,
Okay.
right? But he learned from all that and used it as a launching pad to. He's obviously been doing pretty well here. So.
It was funny. He was like, I was looking at some of the marathon stuff, and he's like, maybe I want to try that next. And like, he just wants to get all the knowledge, wants to
learn, yeah.
learn.
Yep.
Very. very.
And so, and just to clarify, while we only have the 4 wins there, that's
Yeah.
first place wins. So
First place wins. Okay.
he's taken second and third. I mean, the only way he would be here is if he was placing and winning money, right? Because that's how you get points.
Right.
So he's definitely taken probably a lot of seconds and thirds to get here.
And it does look like he competes in a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
So that works. We got I Am Tong coming up. I Am Tong. We've seen him just as much as Alba de Vera in these types of challenges, correct?
Oh yeah. So I for I'm Tong has been a rock star around here for a long time. So he is our number one design competitor of all time. 414 wins. So going back to what I just said, that's
First
414 first place wins.
Yeah.
Okay, so he rocks it a lot.
And
Okay.
I see those prizes on our challenge listings page, and they hover around $1,000. So
Yeah, no, these
Pretty
are
awesome.
1,000, 15, 1,700.
Yeah?
Yeah. So
I was going minimum. Yep.
yep. So I mean it's
Luxes and Ruxes, those are huge, right?
Yep, Luxes and Ruxes. So the Lux, which we have launched right now, he's won 8 of those. We've done
First place wins.
First place.
Wow.
So we've done 45 of those. He's won 8 of them. So, yep. So it's he's definitely and that's interesting. So what's interesting is he is a phenomenal designer. He's always thinking outside the box. He definitely takes feedback. But then when we get here on site, it's all about once again it's a different dynamic. We're no longer virtual. We're in person, and how do you take the feedback? And over the years, there's probably been some times when maybe him and Alba de Vera were 1 and 2. And where he's taken feedback and done some amazing stuff for the customer, but in the final round, the customer went Alba de Vera. I mean, those two were where it could have been Tom.
Yeah.
Right. So
Neck and neck, huh?
yeah. So it's definitely like he does a great job of really listening and understanding what the customer wants, and it's been him and Alba de Vera have been neck to neck for a long time. So.
And he seems to be a really good leader in the Top Cutter community as well. I've
Oh,
seen
yeah.
him speak at design events. In Indonesia, you have him there, right?
Yep, he definitely comes and speaks and helps teach, and because everyone wants to know how the champion, the number one designer, how does he win, right?
Right.
So there's a joke in our Slack channel of how he has an automatic win button. so if he takes takes second or third, they all give him a hard time how the automatic win button's broken. So how and how they want to make sure it stays broken for a while.
Yeah.
So they joke about that with him, and he does going back to feedback and driving kind of that relationship in the community. He helps other designers. Like they'll ask him for thoughts, and he'll give his thoughts, which is once again confidence and obviously being in his design ability, right?
Right. I want to get to some of these screens before the design competition ends.
Oh, yep, it should be ending right now.
So just to give them some...
Guys, you should be uploading.
They should be uploading now. Here we're looking at Con Lin. Just give them some airtime. Maybe some of their friends, family watching.
We should have an
Might be a little
announcement
late.
here. Yep.
And we got Kusnun Irwan, first-time finalist. Yeah, I feel like there should have been like a 5-minute one. Oh, there we go.
There it is.
Championship round 1.
Ravi
The
June.
2018 Top Coder Open
sounds
UI
like you.
Design Competition has finished.
I'm a
Results
great
will be
ventriloquist.
announced, and the standings will be announced prior to the start of the UI.
So we're
Design
gonna have lunch,
Competition final.
Okay.
and then we're gonna go work with the customer.
Oh, again, you're gonna have another
we're-
workshop.
Right after lunch, we're gonna talk with the customer and the designers, get some feedback, work on the scoring for tomorrow. And we'll have another leaderboard tomorrow, and then the final round.
Wonderful.
So,
And we're just quickly looking. This is who's currently in first place, Rio Purba.
yep.
First-time finalist. Look at that.
First time finalists.
And in first place.
Yep.
Very cool stuff here.
Rio, I don't have. I guess I don't know how much time we have, but
Yeah.
he has an amazing story himself. So he wrote me an email probably about a year ago and said how he had lost in like around 30 challenges or hadn't done well, and I was like, wow. I mean, whatever. Tell me that way before you ever get to that point, right? I want to help.
Yeah.
like if it, no, I don't. We want to help, right? We don't want this to be that kind of struggle. I want to be able to give feedback and help you understand where you can see success,
Right.
or at least grow, right? So he sent an email to myself and said, "Hey, I tried this, haven't been doing well. I tried a competitor site, didn't do well there." And he said that I had emailed him about a Rux and Lux challenge. and he took first place on one of them. And he said that it was one of the happiest moments that he had, and because of basically the community and how the community has helped him, and with teaching and stuff like that, he's now been winning challenges. He made it to the finals, and how he loves being part of the Top Critter community. So when I was in Indonesia, he filmed a bunch of stuff when I was there.
Yeah, we hear he's a big YouTuber.
Yeah, he's a big YouTuber, but he went through a struggle, and he improved, and he was able to make it to the finals this year.
So you let him borrow your win button.
I pulled out my win. I pulled out my win button. Actually, I got Tong's win button. Said, "Hey, Rio needs it for a little bit." So,
That's awesome.
yep. So definitely exciting. And definitely, I mean, obviously, I have a lot of stories, right? So I have a story for each finalist. But I mean, that's what
We
Top
love
Criter's
that,
about, right?
Yeah, we love how invested you are, with them, and I'm sure that it shows, because whenever they see you, they're like, "Ad Rug." It's like they say it's like family whenever they
It's
see
like
each
family.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all designers, hit him up if you wanna get to this
And my
competition.
phone's ringing right now.
I'm sure they'll hit you up on Slack and things like that. But thank you so much
Yeah,
for joining.
thank you.
We're gonna have
Good luck with the
Vicky
client.
Yep.
and Avif coming on shortly after the post match. They're just gonna start wrapping up, and then they'll make their way over. So we'll talk with them in a bit. So stick around.